We are back in the house on T3. Mr. U's in the house. Heard's in the house. Shane is en route. Rod is also probably en route. How you doing today, brother?
I mean, the honest answer, a little tired, a little lethargic, but this show gonna wake me up for part two. So
I'm there with you. I am tired. So I think what that means is at least 50% of this squad is going to be needing you guys help to keep us pepped up. So send those questions and comments because we need to talk to y'all. Because if we don't talk, we might nod off. So
yes,
that's
help us out, people. Help us out.
Yeah, but thank you again for joining us. Anyhow, if you're listening audio podcast wise on Apple Podcasts or on a YouTube channel or your simulcast on social media, thank you for making us a part of your week. We appreciate it. All right. A lot of football news, man. Since the last time we broadcasted, a couple of big things happened. There's actually some other trades that happened, but nobody cares about those because they're not the name that you care about. They're like linemen and that kind of stuff. But there actually were more than two trades that happened since we were on air last. But the two biggest ones, Davante Adams going to the Jets from the Raiders and Amari Cooper from the Browns going to the Bills. There's so much I want to get into, but overall feelings about it from you, man. What do you think about what you heard from this?
You know, I'm more biased, of course, towards Amari Cooper, but I love that trade for him, you know, and I like it for the Bills as well. You know, Cleveland was going nowhere. You never knew what you were going to get from Shane. What is up, buddy?
What's up, bro?
You just never knew what you were going to get, you know, from him. And Cooper was just being wasted on that team. And Buffalo could really – Josh Allen has raised his gameplay. I agree. But I don't think they had a true number one. And I think having Amari Cooper allows everyone else to kind of slot into their number two, number three position. So I love the trade. I love it for Cooper. I love it for Buffalo. So,
fair enough. Let's speak to some folks and then we'll go ahead and jump on that a little bit more. Back of the binges in the house. What's up, fam?
What's up?
Carissa's in the house and got a great question. We're going to come back to that one, Chris. All right? We'll be right back on that one.
Got some good answers for that one.
All right, Shane, you have any thoughts about the two big trades that we heard about? Adams to the Jets and Cooper to the Bills. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised about Adams to the Jets. I mean, I think we all knew that he and Rodgers were going to be working on this for time to come. Yeah. I mean, the big thing for me is I don't know if this is a great answer for the Jets. Right. I think Davante Adams probably sets in as the 1B as opposed to the 1A on this team. Garrett Wilson probably is still in the lead on that. I think like Herb said, I'm impressed with the Bills. You let some wide receivers go. You kind of try to make a decision on what you're going to have. And then you've seen that your wide receivers really haven't pulled together for you. So you make a move, you get a known commodity, you get him away from a terrible Browns team and hope that maybe he can make a run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my feeling about both of these two trades aren't going to be popular. He's not trying to do that, be a contrarian on purpose, but it's just like there's things about this that I'm like, yeah. Because right now, these two teams are professing to be all in now. And I'm like, okay, so the problems that these two teams had before the trade weren't exactly what this trade is solving. So seeing you all in, it's like puffing smoke. Doesn't really mean that. For example, let's use Cooper as an example since we're talking about him right now. The man has, in the past 10 years, I think he's number one in drop rate. In the past,
I told somebody that was the stat you were going to mention too. I already told somebody. I was like, he's going to bring up drop rate.
Matters when you got somebody like Allen throwing you the ball. It makes a difference. And on top of that, the guys he's throwing to now are dropping the ball at an alarming rate anyway. So you bring a guy in to be the number one, like you said, the de facto number one, and he's dropping multiple passes. I think it's been he dropped like about, I don't know how many. Well, it's been 32 for the past 3 years. I think he already dropped 6 to 10 already this year already. So you can't blame it on Deshaun Watson. Like, is it the quarterback's fault, or is it your hands? Is it concentration? What's the reason why you're dropping all these passes? So Allen's going to need that, and he's not getting it right now. No offense to Shakir and Coleman, but they're dropping passes right now, and Samuel. So it's like, now you're going to bring your number one, and he's going to do the exact same thing. It's like, are we solving the problem? I mean, this is it right here. So I don't know. I kind of feel like this is not. I don't know what this is solving exactly, but I guess we're going to find out, because they had a lot of problems already. Got guys blocking assignments or deciding to not block, running bad routes and not really aggressive in pass catching. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if Cooper solves it. I guess we'll see. But right now, I mean, just on paper, I'm like, okay, they might be all in according to what they're saying, but I don't see this solving what they normally deal with every year, which is inconsistency, and usually coming from the quarterback. In this case, he's doing great this year. His wide receivers letting him down now. So it's like, you can't throw to Kincaid all the time. You got to throw to wide receivers sometime. And they're not to be trusted right now. So Cooper, who's the number one, can't really be trusted to do it either. So that's a problem. Then you got Adams going to the Jets. Like you said, Shane, everybody kind of already knew it. Rodgers is acting he's surprised. I'm like, okay, the fake surprise, the mock surprise. I love it. Keep lying to us, like you know this is going to happen. I'm sure Woody called you at home and told you in advance this is going to happen. You're going to get your guy. Because Woody said, we're unstoppable now. Nothing can stop us. We're going all the way. I'm like, wow. Just because of Devontae, huh? Devontae's numbers is awesome, especially in Oakland, Las Vegas. Stellar numbers out there. I mean, he got targeted almost 400 times, 23 touchdowns, I think it was. So he was getting the rock and he was doing something with it. But out here, it's like, okay, now what I'm concerned about most with this trade on the Jets, because they're already a dysfunctional franchise. We've seen that over and over again. My concern is the chemistry. I know that Rodgers gets a reliable weapon to throw to, who can score with the rock. I get that. Devontae is totally all of that. But the chemistry part, how does Garrett Wilson respond by having Adams get more targets than when he was the number one before? How does Allen Lazard respond? He knows Rodgers from Green Bay as well. He dropped into a low wide receiver 3, high wide receiver 4 now. So, like, how's he going to respond to Adams getting all the attention? So I just wonder how they manage that, and then the coaching staff who's young, who may not even know how to deal with this kind of stuff. They might be totally inexperienced in this realm. That they got to deal with an extra issue, more drama added to the franchise. But what do you guys think about any of those thoughts? Well, just the trade overall. Do you see these guys going deep because of this trade, or is it like it's not enough yet? What are you guys thinking?
For the Bills, I think you had a great shot of winning the division before this trade.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just helps anyway. So for me, that's more like a early enough trade, gel, get everybody in their spots, make a run. Like, because honestly, you're chasing Kansas City. That's what you're doing. So is this a trade enough to get you over? That's what you got to figure out. But the division doesn't scare me. For the Jets, it's like a lot of the stuff you mentioned, the chemistry, how everybody slides in. What does Garrett Wilson think? It's just kind of, the offense was bad and Rodgers was a big part of it. Now, does this automatically just make him better? And then Adams at least is used to dealing with Rodgers, so maybe that helps. But I'll be honest, I just don't like some of his demeanor. I don't like the throwing people under the bus after you make critical mistakes. I just don't like any of the things that are going on. And so I don't know if that fixes it. You already had good weapons on offense. It just wasn't, you know what I mean? It just they weren't producing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think before you go, Shane, just real quick, and the whole contract deal, that's another issue. I didn't know that they voided the last 2 years. So this is essentially a 1-year deal, and they want to negotiate on those last 2. We're talking about $35.6 million a year.
Yeah.
The Jets don't have that. Woody Johnson is crying broke right now.
Right.
He got quoted here on in articles saying that they got to be tight because they don't have the funds. They're basically saying they're low on money.
Right.
So how are you going to get Devontae to stay after 1 year? So I mean that you just have to win this year for this to be worthwhile. I'm like,
oh yeah, because how many more years do you really have Rodgers? If you commit to Adams long term, right, then you got to come up with Breece Hall money, right, and Garrett Wilson money, and then 2 years from now you don't have Rodgers anyway. So now we're right back where you are right now, where you've got a championship roster defense, and you're probably going to lose a couple pieces salary-wise there also, right? And then you have no quarterback for him. So are we right back in the same spot a year or two from now?
Same though. I think the Bills are probably they are too. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that Herb said that really sticks with me is Aaron Rodgers this entire year. I'm not sure that he's made a mistake. I've heard every wide receiver, coach, offensive lineman mistake.
Yeah.
The plus side with having Adams come in is that Adams also had no problem saying that everyone else on the Raiders was an issue except for him. Now, on his behalf, the Raiders were terrible. So I even give Adams a little bit of push for this, because if he had a quarterback that could throw him the ball, it probably would have helped him. But I think the Jets are already a lost cause. So I think it's good to make Rodgers a little happier, but I don't think that it's going to help them. As Herb mentioned, with the Bills, I think this really goes back to the offseason. They made a decision that they could let go of some wide receiver talent, and I think it showed up that they really couldn't. The problem for them, though, is that those wide receivers, regardless of who you have in there, have not made big plays when it counts. So you still have Josh Allen running around for his life, trying to make something happen, backyard football style, which for the Bills, as Herb mentioned, inside their division, is going to be okay. It's going to get you to the playoffs. You're going to be okay. You probably can win this and not have a problem. But I think, just like you said, it's going to come to a point to where the Bills are going to be talent poor and money poor. And then you got to start making decisions. Who's going to go where? What else can we do? Our best weapon are our two tight ends. Pretty soon the league will figure out that you can only throw it to the tight end. You don't have anybody else. They constantly try to reinvent a run game, which sometimes works for them, but hasn't been a power in a good couple of years. So, like I said, I think the Bills make out better in this, but I don't love either move for either team on this one.
Man, I know Devontae Adams can't be making no complaints about what he was. Like I said, those numbers for the past 3 years. I mean, this year he only played 3 games because his hamstring was bothering him, which is totally healed up now miraculously. But
they got good doctors. They got good doctors in New York.
The man had almost 2,700 yards in 2 years. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the rest of the team. It wasn't what he was getting. He was getting his.
Right.
He probably only won that world. I mean, when Myers came over from New England, he was getting some love too. But Devontae was the number one. He was getting more than enough love out there. So he can't be complaining about that part. The other stuff is he probably complaining to New York too, because it's always something to complain about. This franchise is dysfunctional. I've been saying it because they keep on showing that. But let's love on some folks that are joining our show. West Coast Win is in the house. Hey, Win. So good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. Lady Alpha's also in the house. Hey, lady. The One in Wrestling Podcast. Big Mike's in the house. What's up, Pam? Good to have you guys. Thank you. All right, so I wanted to get into I want to ask you about Georgia and Texas and Bama and Tennessee real quick, but I don't know. I think we're going to go ahead and bypass that. Let you guys get some specific thoughts about it, because those are my 2 marquee games for the weekend.
You know I'm good with it. We've got enough specials going on about it, so I'm good with it.
Depending on what time they come on, I might not even see either one of them, so I'm going to be out of town. So it's going to be brutal, but it's all good, though. We'll keep up via text. All right, so last week, as usual, it's been ramping up. A lot of good football. We've been seeing a lot of things that kind of blew our minds and shocked us, wins that we didn't expect were going to happen. Before we get into that, your predictions from last week, how'd you guys think you did with the predictions? Spot on, or you really tanked it?
Mine are never spot on, so I never have any confidence in mine.
Okay, I hear you. How about you, Shano?
I thought I was okay last week.
Okay, well, you know who won, so you know how you did. I mean, it's not really a secret at this point. All right, so let's jump into this. Okay, so let's just jump into some highlights, some games that jumped out, some things you saw. What hit you? What hit you? What was weird? What hit you? What team is pretty much out of it? What do you want to share? Go for it. Because I got plenty here, so we can roll. What you got?
Go ahead, Shane, if you want to go first.
Okay. The one that stuck out to me is the Commanders actually becoming a team. I think that they have an offense. They've played okay defense, even though in the last 2 years they've traded every defensive starter pretty much. I thought that
True.
It's one of those. I hate it's a victory and a loss, but the Commanders of old would have crumbled in a game that got tight like that, and they ran it to the very end. I think Jaden Daniels has shown that he's going to lead that offense, and he makes less mistakes than what you expected. So, my big surprise was the Commanders continuing to fight throughout that game.
All right, Herb. That's a good one, Shane. How about you, Herb? What you got?
I might be stealing Mr. Hughes, but how about them Cowboys? I mean, is there any notice? Have they showed up for the game yet? Like, have they?
I don't know.
It's at the point where you're like, okay, defense is bad, but offense isn't propping them up either. Troy Aikman, I don't know. I apologies to anyway. I didn't actually look into the quote. I saw the quote posted. I was like, I wonder if this is a true one. But Troy Aikman out there calling out the wide receivers on the team and the route running and stuff. Yeah. He said he called out CeeDee Lamb by name.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said CeeDee Lamb has been terrible for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he specifically said his route running. So clear, obviously the yards and stuff, but he called that part out. But it's, and I know what they'll say, we're banged up on defense. Okay, but y'all were giving up that many runs when everybody was out there. So we can't use that as it's just bad. And you consider where the money went. You can't pay your quarterback and number one wide receiver the money they just got paid this offseason and not produce a touchdown in the game, And unfair or not, like, I feel like that's fair to say. So it's just – and on the flip side, let me say something positive. Detroit looks like they enjoy playing together and they have a well-built team, especially – I hated for Hutchinson, man. That was just awful. Looked away, didn't watch the whole thing. Thank you for them for not replaying it. Feel terrible for him. Yeah, I couldn't. When they said, hey, this is awful, I was like, well, I'm not looking at any replays. That's fine. But the rest of the team, man, they look like they enjoy playing together. And that offense is it's firing, Feel good for Goff, man, getting kind of cast off from the Rams and having the seasons that he's having. So that's just a well-built team, I think.
I think I'm a little bit shocked. 47-9 is a brutal beating. It's basically a massacre.
Yes.
4 6 QB hits. The defense was just softer than melted butter. What would you guys do? How would you fix Dallas in this scenario? I mean, you heard from your former players that are chiming in here. How would you fix this? Because just firing McCartney. I told you guys I was tired from the outset, so I'm going to mess up. McCarthy, right?
I was with you either way. Well, I was shaking my head. Yeah, McCarthy. No, I'm with you, man.
Get Paul out of there. Ringo, all of them.
Yeah. The answer though. So how would you guys fix this? I don't really care if the Cowboys crumble. I've been on record about that part. But how would you guys fix that? I mean, what do you do here with this?
Go back in time. Your coach should have never been. You should have never kept your coach for one more year. So I go back in time and maybe do that. Go back to the original negotiation with Dak and not let his salary get to the point where you're holding on to a guy who's not getting you. I mean, because the problem is the money's already committed now. You know what I mean? So there's not going to be a rebuild because you've already committed that much money. You're still going to squeak out enough wins to not get a high draft pick. And if you get a high draft pick, what are you going to do with it? You're not drafting the most important position anymore. So you're going to trade it for assets. Like, you've started yourself on a win now path with a team that is not going to win now.
When you can't get rid of no Dak and no CeeDee Lamb, they got too much money.
That's the problem. And who's going to trade for him? Like right now, you're not trading for Dak. I can't think of a team.
But you can't feed those two guys. Those guys are mainstays for quite a while now. You can't get rid of them. But the rest of the people, you can get rid of them. Not Micah, though. You want to get rid of Micah too?
He might be the one piece, but do you want to pay Micah a lot of money to prop up a defense that's not prop upable? Like you're going to pay him. Yeah.
I'm feeling that. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. He won't leave anyway, though, so that's not really a surprise. All those rumors, all that smoke, got to be some fire behind it. He wants to go back home to Pennsylvania. Heard Saquon said the same crap, but it is what it is, man. Home is where the heart is, right? So that's what he wants to do. I don't know. As far as the shockers for me, I think my shockers are mild compared to you guys'. I'm shocked by the Giants, but that's just because I'm like, how many times were you in the red zone and didn't score?
That one, I picked them, man. I was like, come on, guys.
Not to do it. I did it anyhow. I'm like, they can beat this team. And they went inside there and let them boys. That's a whole different story. But I guess my biggest shock, I guess, if you want to call it that, is the Bucs and the Saints. Almost 1,000 yards in total offense. Yeah. Two of the top defenses this year, they didn't even show up. Two of the top defenses this entire year in the top 10 consistently didn't even show up in this game. Where were y'all? Yeah. This was pretty bad. I don't know what we're going to see tonight. Is Denver going to go ahead and make Knicks look like a juggernaut? And just, what are we going to see?
Who's playing for the Saints?
Out. Hill is injured. I think he's out too. Olave's out. I'm missing somebody. Yeah, Shaheed's out for the season.
Yeah.
I mean, they bringing in second and third stringers right now.
Yeah.
Against a Broncos quarterback. Isn't supposed to be good, but them boys are playing with heart. So we're getting some predictions. I guess that's my biggest surprise, if you will. I'm trying to figure out some stuff like with Cleveland Browns. How do you fix this problem? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Watson's contract is fully guaranteed through 2026. Yeah. How do you solve this? How do you solve this?
Yeah,
that's harder. But how do you solve this situation? Because
it's all right. Like, but the Watson one always gets me fired up because they renegotiated or like redid his contract, so only got $1 million in that first year. Yeah, when I agree. Like but that should have happened last year. That's the only reason why I say that. Because
are we including Jerry management?
Yes.
Are we including Jerry Jones? Is that okay? Yeah. If we did that as well. Evening Raj, the other half of the Herb and Raj podcast. You can find him every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on Central. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for jumping in there, man. And that question about the fantasy football, I'll pop it up in a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. He's been following me around any show that I happen to be on this week. Just want to talk about him beating me in fantasy this week. This is why you never let your little brother get anything good in life, okay?
Okay, but just to be, despite popular belief, I don't let it say I told you so. It makes me feel sad. But did I not?
That does not. Stop. Time.
I don't like
saying I told you so has never made you feel sad.
Every single time.
Never. Seen it too many times. Had it posted about it, been tagged in it. Never.
I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right in this situation. I'm like, didn't I tell you? Don't let man do it because he's going to drag you for the next. I don't know how many.
Man just told me he does not like to be right. Oh. I need to
I don't want to be not about this.
Oh, hold on.
I don't want to be right about this. I said, man, please don't let that man get up on you in this. Don't let it happen. And you went ahead and let the little brother. He's gonna talk about you till next time y'all play.
I feel worse with you telling me than him telling me. He just gave me a little ribbon and went on with it. You milking it.
I'm not trying to milk it. I'm just
you are. You dragging this like slow tour. I thought the Geneva Convention was against this sort of thing.
That's the last thing I'm gonna do. All right. So there's a lot going on, man, from last week, man. I mean, Flacco's back out again, so Richardson is back in. I'm like, it feels like the offense flows better when Flacco's in there, but I guess Richardson has a so-called upside. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. When you said the upside, I don't know what that means exactly. I know that maybe he can make plays with his legs, but when you say upside, do you mean he's more accurate down the field? What is that? What is that? He throws for more touchdowns. What's the upside that he has that Flacco doesn't have? Can you guys see it? Enlighten me. Serious question. I have no idea what
in theory, the fact that he's mobile and can run, and if he gets the passing part down, he'll be good. That's the theory. And Flacco's kind of what he is right now. Say what?
He's young and he gets hurt a lot.
Yeah. I'm just telling you what the theory is. I don't buy into it. Like, Richardson's already on a path where he's not their quarterback, in a couple years. Mm-hmm. But
that's GM speak when you're the one that picked Richardson and you hope it comes back to roost. That's like you end up getting in those situations. Unfortunately, we're seeing it. Richardson is going along with that Bryce Young, that same Carolina. You have a team that's not necessarily built for it. You take a quarterback that has a specific skill set, and you imagine that once they get to the NFL, you're going to be able to teach them how to play quarterback the way you want them to.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy, but it happens every year. It happens especially with once you get deemed as an athletic quarterback, then the microcosm of what you're going to be able to do when you get to the NFL is right away. What's your completion percentage? What else are you going to be able to do? The problem for Richardson is that when he does complete a pass, he throws the ball 70 yards in the air on a dime. The problem is that he doesn't have any idea when that's going to happen. That comes in once every 13 plays, and then the other 12 are going to the opposite team. So the Colts are they're in a bad spot.
Yeah. This is what happens. You take a mobile quarterback who only started, a year before he left. And the NFL is not necessarily developmental sort of thing. You're hoping they've got some kind of polish and maybe you can, finish some edges. But this guy didn't have the whole thing. And you drafted him with the 4th pick. There's a lot to learn and be done with him that I don't think he's going to get on this team. And then you mentioned him getting hurt all the time. Can't do it.
He played on a terrible college team too.
Yeah,
it's not like he, got a ton of great reps in practice, and Florida is still playing bad this year. I mean, so it's not taking a quarterback that had a couple of great years and then you're trying to knock off some rust or get his speed up in the NFL. He needs a lot of work that never was touched for a great number of years.
Agreed.
That's fair. But I got 3 more questions for you guys before we move on to our best decision segment. So there's 3 questions for you guys. Shane, so one's for you. Gerard Mayo, coach of your Patriots, said that Drake May gives him the best chance to win. Agree or disagree with that?
I agree because, I've already talked about how Jacoby Brissett just couldn't get the ball downfield for him. I also like that Jared Mayo, that he went out and said, look, my QB played as good as I could ask him to, and we didn't do anything to help him. That's the difference where you take ownership of the team and say, look, we have to help this young kid. We have to get him better. We have to make plays. We need to make catches because Drake May was out there running for his life too. He didn't look, outstanding, but he played well enough to where he could have won with another team.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. All right, Herb, I want to ask your opinion about Philly. They got multiple guys that are injured on both sides of the ball. I'm asking you because we had this talk about Sirianni on more than one occasion. How are you feeling about his tenure in Philadelphia? I feel like I'm watching a dead man every time I see one of their games. It's like the guy that has the orange jumpsuit on and is kind of being escorted to the chair. That's what I get when I see him. I feel like it's only a matter of time. It's kind of like one bad game or maybe a couple of bad games away. Do you feel that way about this? Or is
the Philly hate coming out? Or I was like, he gonna ask me in a minute, right? You didn't give Shane all those little prefaces before you asked this question.
He's rougher on you than he was on Sirianni for losing fantasy football.
I ain't trying to do none of those things. I think the first thing I want the first thing to happen. That's why I said, man, please don't let it happen because we're gonna give you the business. As far as Sirianni goes, we were talking about it for I don't know how many months it's been now. I think after last season, we talked about it the entire off season. That it felt like he didn't have the heart of the team, and players were getting frustrated, and they were talking outside of the locker room about what's going on in it. So the coaching was an issue. How do you guys feel? I ask both of you guys. How do you guys feel about his tenure there? Is he on a hot seat? Is it warm? How you guys feeling about that?
I feel like it's always warm. If he hadn't gotten to the Super Bowl, I think he'd be done. Now, I am also hard on Jalen Hurts in this whole situation as well. You got all your offense back this past game, and I know Cleveland's a good defense, but you only put up 20, you still almost blow it. But it feels like Jalen got his money, and then he's not playing as well, and Sirianni's definitely going to be escaped because they don't just seem to vibe all the time. I think that's one of the problems. But as far as the job Sirianni's done, and out here yelling at fans too, like nothing that he does week to week helps him. So I think that's his problem.
Fair enough. Shane, you got a point there you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, like Herb said, he's not helping himself. I think the other hard part, and Herb mentioned with the Super Bowl, you lose two very talented coordinators, and then you did a terrible job of filling those spots. Offensively with Brian Johnson, nothing happened last year. You bring in Vic Fangio, who's a great defensive mind, but he did not fit with Sirianni. He did not fit with the players that they had in Philadelphia. So then you scrap both of those and you try to restart it again this year with Kellen Moore, who has, there's a reason why Dallas got rid of him. I don't know how you let that happen in the same way. The Chargers, he was not great with the Chargers, not great with the Cowboys. And then you see him every single year, and for some reason, Philadelphia decided that was the guy that I wanted to run our offense. That does not ring true to me. I agree with Herb as well. Like Jalen Hurts, the other thing I wonder about him is, those last 2 years, did he take too many hits? Because he doesn't look as explosive as he did before. He also doesn't look to run as much. So a lot of those dynamic plays are not happening. I know it was played up a lot in the very beginning with Jason Kelsey being the one that calls all the line calls and things like that. But I think more pressure on Jalen Hurts to have to be the guy that calls the offense and figure how everything goes has also affected Philadelphia this year.
Yeah. And to his exact point, Jalen Hurts said that to start this season. Now that Kelsey isn't here, it's my, I got to, that was hindering me. Now it's my time. So it's like, and because, I love Jalen. So if I'm being hard on him, it's tough. But when you say stuff like that to start the season, I can't have the turnovers that I'm having. I need the better gameplay, so that's just kind of is what it is.
Quick correction. I got 3 more questions. I can't get past one of these. So I'm dropping them all. Let's try to move through them real quick, and then we get to best decisions and then our predictions, and then we hit our 5-pack poll and run up out of here. All right. So the next thing is with the Jags. Now GM Trent Baalke and Coach Doug Peterson got a vote of confidence, which doesn't mean anything in the NFL. But
a vote of what?
But I want to ask you guys about Trevor Lawrence, because that man is getting a bad rap right now. And my question to you is he actually regressing, or is it maybe a lot of the drop passes that are happening? Because they happen a lot from his wideouts, and I mean a lot. Is it him regressing and not doing what he normally does, or is just stuff around him that's kind of aiding to his 1-5 record? What do you guys think? It could be a short answer if you can do that.
You want to go?
Yeah, I don't think this falls on Trevor Lawrence. That team is world-class terrible right now. And like you said, can you question decisions? Yeah, but when my wide receiver drops the ball 3 times in a row on a drive, is that me as the quarterback? I can only get the ball and throw it to who I have open, and they're not coming up with plays for him. And then he pressures himself, and then he'll throw across the middle. And that's where a lot of his bad plays have come this year. He's making a decision to try to make something happen as opposed to making the right read now.
All right, Herb, go.
I don't think he's been great, but I also think they jumped the gun on giving him the $50 million. So it's kind of like he didn't show that he earned it before then. So it's like he's regressed from a point that he was never at, if that makes sense. He wasn't a $50 million quarterback, and now he's not playing like one. So it's kind of like, I don't know what you expected. But you're absolutely right. The roster sucks. Like bringing in Gabe Davis wasn't going to be the answer. And it seems like they're just trying to figure out the answer every year. And Christian Kirk is like all but disappeared, I guess, now. And that was their big signing, 2-3 years ago. So the team is poorly constructed, especially on offense, and they shift too many pieces around. But Trevor Lawrence also hasn't been great. So it kind of just, the whole situation is just terrible, basically.
Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks, we're staying at a little bit in Pittsburgh. It seems as though that Mike Tomlin wants to make Justin Fields enter in the NFL history as the only 4-2 quarterback that doesn't play his 7th game, that gets benched in the entire history of the NFL. What do you think about this? He hasn't been lighting it up, but did you bring him there for that? Or did you want competency? I'm trying to figure out what they wanted, but they're bringing Russ in. He's starting this week. To be fair to Russ, and we talked about it on a couple of shows, his Denver numbers are not what people have said they are. He actually was pretty efficient in Denver, despite the team being so awful. So what's your quick opinion on Russ starting and Fields getting benched for this game?
If they were on the hook for, Russell's like 30, 40, 50 million, whatever, I could see this because you're trying to get your investment. But they're on the hook for $1 million, and you clearly are saying like they're in on every wide receiver trade mentioned. Every person, if you say Adams, they're trying to get him. You know what I mean? Mike Williams, all of a sudden they're trying to get him. There's a name that was right before that. IYKYK, when he was out there trying to get him. Mm-hmm. So clearly you realize it's not just the quarterback. It's that you need another weapon besides Pickens, half mad Pickens out there. So it's just weird to get to this point and think, yeah, it's the quarterback. Let me get Russ out there because you're only paying him $1 million. I mean, if he walks in the year after this and he never gets played, that's fine. But I wouldn't mess up the continuity of the team. But we'll see. If he goes out here and throws for 300, well, if he throws for 200, which is like 300 anywhere else, then I guess we'll be shocked. But it's just a weird move to me.
No, I need to see 300. 200 ain't go shock me.
I'm trying to convert Pittsburgh offensive numbers to the rest of the world.
You're like, I got to change metric around here.
Yes.
What you got, Shane?
I mean, the thing for me that's also surprising is how Justin Fields handled this whole thing.
Man, he was a champ.
I mean, in the media, he said like, I just should have played better. And you're looking around going, you're 4-2, right? Like, did we miss something? Like, as Herb said, the offense, no real wide receivers to speak of. The running game hasn't been great. It's been under control. Fields hasn't been outstanding, but I mean, that's still 4-2. There's an awful lot of teams that we've just bagged on this entire run that would be happy to be 4-2. So the other thing that makes me wonder is how Russ has looked in practice. Has he looked really well, and has he been, kind of coaching Justin Fields on some of these decisions on the field to where you go, okay, maybe I just get a little bit older out there to where one of those mistakes doesn't happen a game. I mean, Pittsburgh still is going to win based on TJ Watt just absolutely owning the offense they play against. Yep. That's going to be Pittsburgh's game plan for as long as it's possible. I think you're just hoping for a couple more points. Are we maybe we're 6-0 if we can score some more. Yep. If that's what you're looking for, then you give Russ a chance. If not, you know what Justin Fields can do. So.
All right. Well, we got to move, so I'll just make a comment about the Titans. Big questions in my mind about whether they drafted the wrong person. I mean, they got Hopkins and Boyd, who I love a lot, and Ridley, who they brought in from Jacksonville. I think altogether, outside of D-Hop, they had 19 yards on Sunday. Total, outside of D-Hop, 19 yards. Targeted Ridley 8 times, and there was no completions. Ouch. But let's move on.
Did you see the montage of the Ridley targets, though? They said out of like the 8, there were 3 halfway catchable balls. Like somebody actually put out the
wow.
Yes.
It wasn't drops.
No, we're not saying drops. We're talking like when you say a target, they need to redefine what a target is. Like me throwing in your general direction can't be a target if there's like so 5 of them you can eliminate. He couldn't even get his hands on.
Yeah, he couldn't have with a hula hoop.
Yeah. So it's not. We're not talking drops. We're talking like, okay, I threw it in your general direction. If you could maybe hop on the trampoline and get up to get it, that would be nice.
Mm-hmm. So, brother. Okay. Yeah. Let's jump to our best decision series. We're almost up against it now. Buffalo Bills this week. What's the best decision the Buffalo Bills made in the offseason? I'm gonna try to start it off because it's not gonna be. It's just ain't gonna be pretty. My mama told me all my life, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. But mama, I'm sorry, I gotta say something here. They had a hard time with their cap. They almost lacked in flexibility. They had questions about kind of maximizing the window for Josh Allen. I mean, he's not getting younger. You know what I'm saying? So when they got rid of Diggs, which was, I guess, an internal issue, but you still got rid of a number 1 talent and took that from Diggs and Allen and replaced it with Curtis Samuel. for the most part.
Is he still on the team?
Yes, he was wide receiver for his entire football life. So that's what you gave him. There's just I don't know what they did with Diggs and give it to Mitch Morse. It broke my heart. I'm like, you got rid of one of the best centers in the game. You kidding me? And give me to Davis. I mean, Davis was working out there. I mean, I don't know what the money was going to be for all three of these guys, but I guess getting rid of them was best for their cap, even though they're still. So it showed you how bad the cap was because they're almost last in cap flexibility right now, and they got rid of three of the top contracts on their squad, and it's still almost last. So you know how bad the thing must have been. So I don't know. I guess my best decision is they got rid of the cap. It helped out this much. But they got. I mean, I can't even say Diggs was the best thing they did. Or get rid of more. So I think they were all bad decisions.
Yeah. I was gonna say, man, for your mama to tell you not to say anything if you can't say anything nice, I mean, said an awful lot right there, Mr. Yo.
Yeah, I was trying to just be nice about it because I don't know what else to say about what we did in the offseason. But you guys go ahead and impress me. Do better than what I did. I know
go ahead, Shane.
It's in you.
For me, the only best decision is playing more double tight. I mean, if your best athletes are two tight ends, I agree with everything you said, Mr. Yu. But I mean, when you're sitting there, did you get some cap freedom? But what are you going to use it on? I mean, you didn't make any great moves with that money that you kind of disregarded. Yeah, like I said, and I agree with you. I think Davis played well for him, and then now you let him go. You let the ones that did catch the ball for you go. You try to pull everything together. Keon Coleman hasn't shown up for them yet. Like I said, it's Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, and pray for Josh Allen.
Yep. Great.
Can I add that to that by you let your two number? Which, by the way, I was gonna Gabe Davis. I didn't mind them letting go because I just was never a huge fan. He was feast or famine. Like you were gonna get 100 yards out of him or like 5 yards and 2 drops. It was like just no in between. Mm-hmm. So I didn't mind that one in a vacuum. Them letting Gabe Davis go. So I was fine with that. But also needing a wide receiver, being at the end of the first round, and trading a pick to your huge rival, the Chiefs, just another bad decision on top of that. So I'll give it to them drafting Keon Coleman just because you were attempting to fix the situation that you had with letting everybody go. But I'm with you. When I was reading this, I was like, there must be a transaction I'm missing because I don't like a lot of what they did. Like together, too. I'm going to let my top 2 pass catchers go. Then when I need to draft one at this spot, I'm going to trade it to my biggest rival. And then I'm just going to address it in the next round and just see, like, none of that. I wasn't feeling any of that.
And watch them draft the speed receiver that I could use.
Yes. Thank you, Shane.
Give me one of the best centers in the game. Did you forget how much you got sacked last year? Did you lose your memory? What is happening?
Yeah, for them to be where they're at right now is amazing. Like Josh Allen's just playing great because the rest of what they're doing was not like built, to help him out for sure.
Great, Shane.
Yeah, no, like I said, I agree. And the other thing, like her mentioned with that, with not getting Worthy, trading Kansas City and letting them pick a speed receiver. I mean, you let go of Gabe Davis, and then you basically drafted the carbon copy of Gabe Davis. Like Keon Coleman is a big wide receiver that didn't necessarily have breakaway speed. That's exactly what you just said. Gabe Davis wasn't good enough to keep, and then you draft that again. Like that's it. It doesn't make sense if that's the way you're going.
Right.
Yeah,
especially with a win now window. Like
exactly.
Josh Allen doesn't necessarily have time for all these people to get up to speed.
Get him a weapon.
Yeah, that's why they got Cooper because he's going to be the weapon.
Yeah, basically.
Ben, good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
What's up?
This is in the house. Boy.
What's up, Coach? This one of the best breakdown guys I've ever seen right there. If you need to play breakdown, yep, Chris is a good one. And they got a big game. He's a Georgia guy, so they got a big game this weekend.
Oh, okay. What if he knows my friend? My buddy's assistant strength and conditioning coach out there. I wonder if he's familiar with him. Okay, cool. All right, predictions. Well, the game is, not far from starting. I don't know if it's going to be a good game. I'm going to watch it because we love that ball. So I'm going to watch it. But Broncos going to be at the Saints. Do like what we always do. Do you guys need the numbers and the odds and whatever? Or you just ready to go ahead and jump on this? You good? You got what you need? All right. Broncos at Saints. Oh, man. originally going to go with the Saints until I find out who was injured.
Right.
I'm like, oh, no. I reserve the right to change my mind, baby. All right, so I'm going with the Broncos in a surprise win. Revenge game for the coach, too. But who you guys got? Broncos, Saints.
Broncos.
I got Broncos as well.
Too many injuries for the Saints. I was in the same boat as you. I was going to pick them until another person got injured while I was making my pick. So I was like, all right, we're good.
I'll pick the next one for Shane because this is passing the Jaguars. He's going past. I am too.
Yeah, same.
Okay, cool.
How long before Peterson gets fired?
Probably on the flight back.
Probably should have happened already, but whatever. Seahawks at Falcons. I'm going Falcons here. I never would have believed in the Seahawks this year. I just didn't feel it, and they kind of proving me to be right on this one. But I got the Falcons on this one. Who you got?
Same.
Oh wow!
Seahawks are on a slide. They started off good, and now it's just like they can't get it together. And I think the Falcons are starting to put together a little bit better.
Yeah, and the Falcons are starting to run the ball too.
Yeah.
This game was a little bit more challenging, maybe perhaps, but the Bengals at the Browns. I'm going with the Bengals. I like the points. I'm going with the Bengals. I don't know. They got so many weapons out there. You would think they'd be running all over folks, but they're not. So it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on out there with Chase and Higgins is doing fine after coming back from an injury. I'm going Bengals here. You guys got Bengals as well? We unanimous.
I'm never going to pick Deshaun Watson, I don't think.
Yeah. Herb and I fully agree on this.
I don't blame you. All right. Texans at Packers. I'm going Packers here. I think the points is reasonable. I think it's going to be that kind of game. But I'll go with the Packers here. Who do you have? Packers, Texans.
I have Texans on this one.
Yeah, same. I'm taking Texans because that's who I'm rooting for. I do think it'll be a high-scoring game, and it'll probably be a fun game to watch. Maybe one of your game of the week kind of nominees.
Fair enough. Fair. This is win reads my mind sometimes. It's kind of scary win. Well, it is Thursday night. Yeah, about the Broncos and Saints. I don't know what we're going to get. I'm probably going to be watching Knicks to see how he evolves. I'm kind of just keep my eye on him and just try to ignore everybody else. That's what's going to happen tonight. Dolphins at Colts. I'm going Colts. Sorry, Rod. I just can't do it. I don't know what guys got going in the quarterback. Is Tua coming back this week? I don't think so. I'm going with Colts, man. I got to. How about you guys? Dolphins, Colts.
Yeah, Colts. Sorry, Raj. I love you, but you have no quarterback.
Answered your question. On the flight back, Peterson is history. He's still in first class. All right. Lions at the Vikings. I'm going to Vikings here. That's going to be a good game.
That is.
I'm going with the Vikings, and I don't know. Yeah, I think that 1.5. That sounds about right. It should be a dog fight. I'm going with the Vikings here. Probably one big defensive stand to win this game. You guys got Vikings as well? No.
I'm rooting for Detroit, so I'm going for Detroit. So I don't pick with my head. I pick with my heart. That's why the picks are so bad. Well, I'm going with the team. Hey, Raj.
I need to see that. I need to see proof of that. I don't believe you. You did?
Oh.
Okay. You shocked me. Good job. Shane, who you got?
I have Detroit as well. Not a heart pick like Herb's, but I think they just have too many offensive weapons right now.
But Vikings got the number one defense. That don't matter?
With the way Detroit mixes it up, I think they still can have enough offense to pull it out.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Eagles at Giants. I ain't falling for that one again. I don't think the Eagles are even good. I'm still picking the Eagles.
Yeah, I gotta go Eagles. I thought the Giants would show more last week, man. I was just honestly just kind of, I feel like Cincinnati was there for the taking. And
now this potential here, Saquon coming back, probably going to boo the soul out of that man. This potential for something, but I can't fall for it, man. Y'all won't even play regular football. I don't mean extra special fantasy football, just regular football. Y'all won't even play the regular Pee-wee league stuff. Y'all won't even do that part. So I don't trust y'all. So I'm going with the Eagles in this one. Shane, who you got? Eagles, Giants.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh, my God. You're going to sing the song, too? How dare you? Blasphemy.
I mean, what are the Giants going to do? It's starting to be a funeral procession up there.
I've already died already. I'm already in the grave. All right. Raiders at Rams. I'm going Rams here. They're both struggling right now. A lot of issues. on both sides of the ball, really. Injury wise, I don't know if Puka's coming back this week. I don't think he is. So I don't know what hope they have, but if they decide to trade Stafford to us, like they've been talking about, hey, maybe this is a showcase game. Funny rumors. I love football. It's great. Who do you guys got? Rams.
Rams.
I have Rams as well.
Yeah, I think I just decided to pick against the Raiders because this game is tougher to me than it seems because I have no idea who's playing for the Rams and who they're throwing to anymore. But it's like Raiders just seem like they're already done for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, O'Connell has work cut out for him because they ain't letting Kyron Williams run, so he's gonna have to throw, and that's gonna be a hot time in the old town. All right, Panthers at Commanders. I want Commanders here. The Panthers have been looking better. They've been looking better, but not this much better. No. Commanders are going to win this game. They got them at 7.5. Wow, the respect level is just totally gone. All right.
Yeah. Commanders are 140 this week. No. Commanders.
No, hey, please don't. That'd be awful. All right, this is a tough one. Chiefs at Niners.
I win Niners. Sorry. Go ahead.
I picked the Chiefs, but I don't feel great about it. I don't know who's playing in this game. Like, I mean, which Chiefs and which Niners are we going to get? Because one from last year, one of these guys is going to be on the field this week. So who are we getting? Is the Chiefs going to benefit from coming off of a bye, or they're going to be rested, or they're going to be prepared? I mean, I don't know what we're going to see. I can't tell until maybe the first part of the first quarter. So I can't tell. I'm going with the Chiefs right now, but I reserve the right to change my mind to hopefully before game time. Who do you guys? You said Niners, Herb, but who you got, Shane? Niners or Chiefs?
I went Chiefs, but I think it's going to be super close.
Yeah.
I feel Jets at Steelers. It was different before we knew who was coming to the team. I had the Steelers for Devontae. I'm like, okay, so how do I feel about it now? Wow. I don't know, man. I think I'm going to stick with the Steelers. I picked them already. Yeah. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the game before. I'm hesitant.
I went Steelers because I would love to see Aaron Rodgers fall flat after getting his number one guy, and this just be a disaster, and just see who you can blame after this one. So I'm going Steelers because I would love it.
I feel as though if they play the kind of defensive game they've been playing, they can win this game. This is winnable because the Jets have played good defenses, and look what happened. Yeah. You know. I don't know if Devontae can solve that. Shane, who you got? Jets, Steelers.
TJ Watt by 3.
There you go.
I think he's going to run up on Aaron Rodgers this week.
Just 3? Aaron Rodgers is limping right now on both legs.
Exactly.
It's a sad sight.
Agreed, Lady Alpha. Agreed.
You come out in a wheelchair on Sunday night. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is an arrogant jerk. Yeah, he's a liar, too. He knew Devontae was coming. You're kidding, pal.
If they had won that one Super Bowl, his legacy would probably just look entirely different. I mean, I realize the MVPs, but you'd be looking at him in a that kind of light for how many times they failed in the playoffs.
Favre would be laughing too. He'd be laughing constantly. Yeah. So. All right, we got 2 Monday night games to close our predictions out. Ravens at Bucks and Chargers at Arizona. I'm going Ravens and Chargers here, but the Ravens, I'm pretty sure they're going to win the game. But
I went Ravens and Cardinals.
Ooh. You did this last week, didn't you? Did you pick the Cardinals last week too?
Didn't they win last week?
Did they?
How you gonna call me out for something you don't even know what happened?
You picked them last week. I don't know what they were.
No, against the Packers. I didn't pick them against the Packers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you probably taken a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I probably did. But
I know she didn't pick them the Cardinals. I'm not even worried about it. But should we? Yeah, Raven.
No, yeah, you're right. You don't have to worry about that. But I do have the Ravens on that. I think the Ravens are starting to put it together.
Yes.
Come the playoffs, we'll talk about that later with the final 5. But I think they're putting it together for this game. And you already know my distaste for the Cardinals. So.
Yeah, I got to do like you guys are doing, man. Find one team. I'm just going to just. No matter who they playing, I ain't picking them. I don't think I have that yet. I gotta find me. You guys,
you do, but you're not biased against that team because like the Panthers are that team for you, but you're not. That's still picking with your head. Like I'm never gonna pick the card.
Yeah, but
if we're being honest, the Giants is that team for you right now too. Let's be honest.
I can't use that one because there's personal ties there. Herb doesn't like Deshaun Watson, and you don't like Arizona. There's no personal reason why. I mean, football wise, it just.
Oh no! Mine is football wise, but like you can't get a $230 million contract and play as badly as you're playing, and you're somehow regressing from bad play to bad play. So yeah, I can't. They have too much talent on the Cleveland roster for their record to be what it is, and Deshaun Watson is at the head of that. So he is on my pick against it. That's not even considering the off the field stuff that would make you dislike him even more. My dislike for him is what he's playing on the field. Looks terrible, and then you add in his contract, it looks worse. Then you add in off the field stuff, and it's like,
yeah, he's a striker.
You know, everything is wrong. You know, if I was did with all that stuff, you probably wouldn't even let me on your show, but you'd be like, Herb, I think we need to distance ourselves. and you certainly wouldn't sign me to a huge, the worst contract in podcasting history.
Oh gosh,
see, Shades in meetings going, can we get rid of Herb, and like his contract's guaranteed till 2026.
Oh, come on, cap space. We need to make. It's only 10 years of dead money. We can make it up.
I don't see a comparison yet. I don't see it yet. I don't think I had that team yet. I can't go in the NFC East because that's still personal. It gotta be somebody who I'm not connected with. Maybe somebody who's a quarterback who I just despise for whatever. It gotta be something.
Why not the Jets?
I guess that is it, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I don't like them at all.
Yeah, and you did mention their history of losing and the futility, and I've heard a little bit in your voice when you mentioned it last week. So,
and Woody Johnson, he sucks, and I can't stand him. Yeah, okay.
And you don't like Rodgers, so there you go.
I got one.
Yeah,
just stick with part Herb and I. We'll get you to hate somebody.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
Let the hate grow inside you.
Exactly. We can feel it. It's in there.
Look, hate the Jets. All right. Yeah. This right here, yep. Don't say stuff like that.
No.
This don't see. Yeah. This is the kind of mojo that I wouldn't want if I was a fan of the team. Don't say nothing. No. The overconfidence is what they have a problem with overconfidence right now. You gonna say by 50? Oh, brother. Anyway, side note: join the dark side and hate the Steelers.
Yes.
Oh, that's tough. That's a tough one. I don't know if I can hate them. I mean, they practically married to the Giants. They got intermarital connections and family ties. I can't. It's kind of hard to hate them. But all right. So our 5-pack poll that we close the show off, so you guys can watch Bo Nix go off and throw for 400 yards tonight. All right. So you know our 5-pack poll goes. We got 5 teams and 5 categories. 1 wins the division. 2 dead last in the division. 3 play in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, 4 in full rebuild within the next 5 years, and 5 first-round playoff exit. Our teams: Baltimore Ravens, Chicago Bears, Pittsburgh Steelers, Indianapolis Colts, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. So you guys in the comment section, you guys can play with us. I gave you the 5 teams. Drop them. I think you guys did that 2 weeks ago. Last week you failed me, but it's okay. You can make it up. All right. So Ravens, Bears, Steelers, Colts, and Bucks. All right. So who wants to start it off? Hate the Browns. Yeah. There's enough hate over here to go around. Even when Watson's gone, I'm still probably going to feel the same way. But go ahead. Who you got it? Shane? Herb?
I'll take the shot.
There you go.
Right.
So for me, for number 1, wins the division, I went Baltimore. For last in division, Indy.
Yeah.
Super Bowl in 3 years. I went a little spicy on this one. Chicago Bears.
Ooh, I like it.
Wow.
Full rebuild.
Gutsy.
Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And in the first round exit, Tampa Bay.
I like it.
I think Pittsburgh's offense is bad enough, regardless of who you have at quarterback, that a lot needs to change. And I think it's going to be hard for them to stay competitive. So
they fit my criteria too by not having a quarterback in place.
Exactly.
So
I went right off your cheat sheet. We don't have a permanent starter. We don't have an offensive game plan without that starter. And like I said, I mean, they do have a great defense, but as age continues, as money continues, it gets harder and harder when you're just going to be at that okay level. You either need to win, or you need to be terrible to be able to rebuild in the NFL.
Yep. And
Wow.
what's up, Noel? Thank you for tuning in, Noel. What's up? That's what we say. Hello.
Yep. Hey, Noel. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you so much.
Yep. How are you?
Yes,
vaguely,
yes. I am just a teeny weeny bit older than you, lady. I remember it. Yeah. It's funny stuff. Watching Perry sit there and jiggle. It's hilarious. All right. Herb, you ready?
Yeah, but now I'm a little upset because I didn't get creative. Super Bowl, I went with Baltimore because that was kind of the low-hanging fruit of this group. Last in Indianapolis, the one with the Colts. The rebuild, I'd like the Pittsburgh answer. That was a good one. I went Tampa Bay because especially in a couple of years, you have no idea what Bay. I'm surprised they didn't get into a rebuild already, to be honest. And it's like they were just hanging on from the Tom Brady years, but rebuild them. Win the division, I went with Pittsburgh. There's a path to it. It would have needed another wide receiver, I think, but I could see it. And because everyone thinks the whole division might end up in the playoffs somehow, first round exit Chicago, slipping in and losing the first round, which would be a huge accomplishment for them in year one of the Caleb Williams era.
Well, I bust out the easy one first because the last two was hard for me. But the first one, Indianapolis, winning the division. It feels as though they're always in the mix because the past 2 or 3 years, they always seem to be in the mix there. And the division's always not, it's not always a runaway. So with Indianapolis there, uphill climb to the top of Houston where they are right now. I think they're 7-1, something like that. But if Richardson exceeds expectations, I think it's doable. Dead last, I'm going Chicago over here only because of their division, not because of how I view their talent. I think they're going to be just dead last in the division. Promising that the division is stacked, man. And it's still a learning curve for Caleb. He's doing some things better, but it's a big learning curve still. And teams are going to have tape on you now, so it's going to be a lot to learn. This whole year is going to be a whole learning process for him. In the Super Bowl, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I really hope that they actually take care of business and get there because they always had one of the most talented teams, if not the most talented teams in the league, and they always flounder in the postseason. So hopefully they'll take advantage of that. I can see them playing in the Super Bowl in the next 3 years. So my last two were the toughest ones. I was bouncing between Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. I don't know where I land right now, but I'm going to go ahead and try to keep it simple. Full rebuild, I'm going with Pittsburgh here. I mean, you got two quarterbacks on 1-year deals, and potentially you could bring Wilson in for longer, but will you really do that? I don't know Tomlin that well, but it feels like if they do anything, he'd be a stopgap for a draftee at quarterback. Who they're going to get because of where they land, no telling. So that leaves first round playoff exit, Tampa Bay. It kind of feels like they had a real shot to go a lot further last year. I don't feel the same way about them now. I'm seeing little chinks in the armor now offensively. And it's kind of like, and now you got confusion about who's going to be your main back. You got Sean Tucker went off last week, 34.2 fantasy points. You got Bucky taking the job from Rachaad White, but then you're saying Rachaad White's on the way back. I'm like, it's just like confusion. So I see your first round playoff exit there. All right. Any closing thoughts before we let you guys go and watch TNF?
Nope. I think if Tampa Bay's division was any better, we would think differently of them. I think they're being saved by a division that's got Carolina and then half of what's left of the Saints. I think that's the only thing really keeping them in contention, honestly.
Yeah. And I think, like Herb said, Baker being able to get them into the playoffs last year probably halted this rebuild. So I don't disagree with him. I think they'll be ready too. They're another team that's just good enough not to be able to help themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. You got a quarterback that still be rebuilding. Teams are doing it all across the league. So having Baker there, I'm like, I mean, they gave Winfield a lot of money, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, and how much longer do you have Mike Evans and the receiving crew that's helping Baker Mayfield right now? That's going to start the timeout too.
Yeah. Him and Godwin are nicked up real good, man. So it's always something. So we just never can.
And the quarterback thing is just a personal rule, just to make the 5-pack easier for me. Because when we were first doing it, I was struggling a lot. So I said, well, give me best team, Super Bowl, team with no quarterback, rebuild, and then I can slide everyone else in from there. So it's just a personal
man. You're smart beyond your years, man. You created a formula and you figured it out.
I feel like that's a smarter than you look kind of comment.
Just shots being fired at Herb today.
I know. I'm taking mulch. I'm gonna go drown my sorrows after this show.
Yeah. Herb, you're not really that smart. I don't know if you remember, but you lost in fantasy football to your younger brother.
And I told you so.
I told you so. I don't want to be right, but I'm right.
I don't.
It hurts. It hurts.
I take no pleasure in that, but here's what it is. All right, man. But thank you guys for joining us. TNF is getting ready to crank up, man. Hope you guys enjoy the game. And, of course, hit us up on our social media platforms. Hit us with the tweets and the comments on the game or football in general. And we'll see you guys next week.